So if you're changing out a battery, probably the easiest way to make sure you have the correct battery for the vehicle, the size, the physical size of it, and the rating of the battery is just to go to your local auto parts store, give them the make and model of the vehicle, and tell them to give you a battery for that vehicle. In this case, however, I'm going to use one of spare batteries that I have. So what I'm going to look for here is firstly what type of posts are on the battery, and these are top mounted posts, and I have spare batteries that are top mounted posts. Some vehicle batteries will have a side mounted post. It'll be over here and there'll be a screw on it. It's got a totally different type of cable than this. So as I say, those tend to be a little harder to change out with spares. So a top mounted post, very common type of battery, easy to change. The other thing I want to see here is looking at this battery from the front, which side the negative and positive posts are on. And we see this little minus sign up here, right there. So we have a negative, which is on the right side of the battery as I look at it from the front. So the negative post is on the right and up to the top. These can be reversed and down here, and the problem with that, if you're just using a spare battery, is that a lot of times your cables here won't reach. So I'm going to look for a spare battery that has, as I say, the negative post on this side, right side, and to the top. Obviously, our positive post is on the left side. So here is my spare battery. Looking at it from the right side, as we looked at the battery in the vehicle, we can see that the negative post is from the right towards the back of the battery. So the cables on that vehicle will be able to reach this post no problem. And again, looking at the other side, over on the left side, there's our positive terminal of the battery. And I have this battery on a charger. I did a video actually on how to charge a car battery with a vehicle charger, and this is at 98% charge, so that's basically charged up. I'll take this battery and put it in that vehicle. Before doing this procedure, read over your vehicle maintenance manual or your owner's manual for any safety information that you may want to know as far as changing out the battery in your particular vehicle, because it can be dangerous things occur. Particularly, something you want to be careful for is you absolutely do not want to have wrenches in around here and short these two posts together, because that's going to cause one major dangerous flash. So the first thing I have to do is loosen off the nuts on the mounting bracket, which keeps the battery in place and stable. So I'm using a 10mm wrench here. It seems to be a very common size. The batteries that I've changed out, and actually the 10mm wrench, if you can see it, is actually the size on this battery here also for the nut on the mounting post here. So here I have a nut here, loosen that one off, and one back here. And as I'm doing this, I'm being careful to not touch the mounting post with this wrench. This vehicle here actually has this protective plastic covering, but you're going to want to be careful of that. When you're loosening this off, you're in proximity to that post. You do not want to short that out. So this nut here, a little seized up. I might give that a spray with some agent, and then it's got to go a long ways up on that bolt here. So I'll take that out. I'm going to backtrack here just for a second, just in case any of the viewers have this same plastic covering over their positive terminal. To get that off on this vehicle, there's just little plastic tabs here And again, carefully so you don't short anything out, I just take a screwdriver and just gently pry that tab off of there. You can see that starting to rise. So there's one here. We got another tab right there. Pry them out. You can see this coming up. Then down below, another tab there. Pry those all out. And that, let me get that last one off there. Basically, will give us access to the positive terminal. And I can't do that and hold the camera at the same time. It's that one there. Down at the bottom keeps engaging again. You get the idea. So I'm loosening off the rear nut on this mounting bracket over here, and something I forgot about, now I'm remembering as I do this again, is we're probably not going to have to take this nut all the way out, because what they generally are in the rear is a hooked piece of metal like this. So once we thread it up, this will become loose enough that it'll come out of its mounting bracket area on the bottom, and then we'll just be able to push it down, move it a little bit, and pull it up. So as I say, I'm probably not going to have to take this nut right off. I'll just keep loosening it, and as I go, I'll just push it down like this and see if it releases from down below. And I don't know if I can show this here, there may not be enough light, but there's that the hook portion there. As I move this bolt up and down, I don't know if that's coming out of the camera, but the hook is down there. I haven't removed or loosened that nut off quite enough to release it yet. So I'll keep going counterclockwise, clockwise with this nut here to loosen it off. Now I think I felt that release from down below. Let's find out. Ah, there it is. So it's out. And there's the hook part I was talking about back here. As I say, you can take this nut right off if you want. I just find it a little bit easier sometimes to just leave it like that when I'm trying to maneuver it back into the installation part. So now I'm going to take off this front nut here. And theoretically, this should now pop out of there. And so it does. Very carefully slide that through. We got this cable here going from the positive. I don't know what that is. I think it's for an accessory. Probably hitch lights or something. So there it is. Now, I'm going to take these clamps for the battery posts off. I think I mentioned, generally seems to be a 10mm wrench on most of these batteries that I've run into. Going like that. Again, always being careful. You don't want to short anything out here. Just kind of move them. There you go. Put them aside. Being careful too, not to touch them to anything. There we go. I'm going to take a couple of tie wraps and just tie wrap these cables off to the side. Tie wraps I consider to be the second best invention for the do-it-yourselfer, after of course duct tape. We just stick them on there and that'll keep those cable kind of out of the way. Just anywhere, be careful not to tie wrap to something that's delicate or anything. Yeah, so those posts are, the cables rather, are kind of out of our way. Now, a lot of times batteries will have a nice handle connected to them to make it easy to pick them up. I don't think that's the case here, so just be very careful. Make sure you don't hurt your back or anything. Try to pick that straight up like so. Don't turn it over or anything, keep it upright. Now, the new one, well, the new old one, that's got that nice handle I was talking about. Pop that down in there. Now, I'm just going to take a really fine sandpaper, nothing too aggressive, and just give those a quick cleaning there so we get a good connection. Give those posts a little rub. Get the corruption off of them there. As I say, you don't want to use anything with too much of a grit as far as sandpaper goes. It'll bite into those terminals. Very soft metal lead, right? So just clean them up like that. Next, we want to get our mounting bracket back into place. Actually, I'll put that under the handle. I'm going to position it on the front there. This can be a little bit of a trick sometimes, getting this hook in down below. May have to turn off the camera for this because it might take me a couple of minutes to actually find the hole down below where that's going to hook on. Okay, with a little help from a flashlight and moving this rear rod around in the back, I found where it hooks. And as you can see, when I lift this up, oops, released. I shouldn't have moved that around too much. So anyways, I was just trying to show you it's hooked back there underneath. So you're gonna just basically move that around a bit, and what you want to do is, once you have that in position, I'm holding it up there, I'm gonna put just holding that rear rod in place, and it's gonna put the nut on the front, just so this bracket isn't moving all over the place as I do this. And as I say, that's hooked and back. I'll take my wrench, and you might have to hold a little bit of pressure on that, keeping it up in place as you tighten that nut down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get my wrench in place like this, and very carefully, making sure I don't short out anything, is I'm probably going to take see if I can find it. Oh, I was going to say I was going to find a screwdriver with an insulated handle. I was going to put some tape over the end of the screwdriver, pry this up, and then tighten the nut down, but seems to be staying there just with a little bit of finger pressure. And this is why it's good to always have a pair of gloves on, because if I didn't have a pair of gloves right now, I'd probably be taking a lot of skin off my fingernails, or skin off my hands. So anyway, hopefully you can see that. That is tightening down. We'll just keep the camera rolling while I get this into place here. And the further that nut goes down, the easier it's going to be to keep this whole unit in place. Kind of see that now, hopefully. And I think it's down far enough now that I can probably just tighten it without having to keep that upward pressure on there. Let's find out. And it is, because you can see the nut is turning and the bolt is not turning, which is what we want. A long 10mm socket would have been handy for this too, but I didn't want to have one handy. So once I get this down fairly tight, I'll tighten up the front one. This is just to keep the battery in place. It's not moving around. Extra critical if there's a motor vehicle accident. You want the battery flying around in the engine compartment. Okay, so now I'm going to move this, make sure this bracket is all secure on the battery, and tighten this one down. So that's all nice and secure now. I'm going to give the post connectors a little cleaning here while I'm at it too. Got them off. Again, a little light sandpaper. And as I said before, be very careful doing this that you don't short anything out. The vehicle batteries can put out a lot of current. So read over your owner's manual or your maintenance manual for the details on your particular vehicle. There we go. Get those cleaned off. Carefully connect them. I always give it a little tap to make sure there's no big crazy amount of spark and something didn't go wrong. Push them down. A little bit of spark there. There's light from the battery. Push down and turn. That should come fairly flush with the top of the post. So now you got your connectors secured to the posts. So you actually at this point have this battery connected up. So now you're really going to watch where your wrench is in proximity to anything else that might touch and short out. You definitely don't want to be doing this outside on a rainy day. That would be asking for trouble. And you don't want to apply too much pressure to these. It's just it's not like there's a whole lot of force on these, just enough to keep a tight connection there. Now, anything else that you may have that you might have removed, like in our case, this clip here, just push that down, that should snap into place. And we've got the new battery in.